Hey guys, how's it going? It is Ando again, and today we've got a video that's been requested quite a few times. So today's video is about the First Order and sort of the gear or relic priority for them, especially as we start to gear towards, the Galactic Legends and Supreme Leader Kylo Ren specifically. So I've got a list here today for that, and I've put them in numerical order. So keep up those suggestions, guys. I'm going to try to make as many videos as I can off of all your guys' questions and suggestions. So be sure to hit up that Discord link in the description down below. And then if you guys are liking this kind of content, keep liking and commenting on it. Let us know how you guys have been farming up your First Order and in what order you're going in as well. And I just want to say thank you guys so much for all the subs that we've gotten thus far. I can't believe it. It's been a pretty cool experience for me thus far. So thank you guys so much, and then let's go ahead and get into the video. Alright guys, let's get into this. So again, we're going to be talking over kind of the priority of gear and relics for the First Order, and we'll kind of break down kind of why each one is in its spot. So it's a reverse list order, as we all love. So the first one on our list is Captain Phasma. No hate against her. She actually does have kind of a spot once you get your Supreme Leader Kylo Ren, however far that is. She was a great leader there in the beginning, but just due to power creep and leadership's getting better, she's just kind of fallen out of favor here. And again, I'm gonna have the team comps that I suggest if you want to try to break it down into 2 team comps. Alright, so the next one is First Order Officer. Again, the reason why we put him there, especially with relics, is he doesn't even have a ship, so he's not really useful there. But his kit is actually pretty nice, and you will need him once you get your Supreme Leader Kylo Ren. It's just, he's not a huge damage dealer. I think all of his mastery tries to make him deal more damage, but he's just really not there for that. And so, although the turn meter swaps and stuff are nice, and he's got a little bit of turn meter reduction if you can land it, just overall, he's just, one of the weaker First Order characters. So, the next one that we have is FOSF TIE Pilot. And there's no real, you could pretty much, I'm gonna show number 7 as well. It's the FO TIE Pilot. There's no real rhyme or reason as to why, that one shows up over FOSF TIE Pilot. The biggest reason why I would say it is because First Order TIE Pilot can double tap on his basic, and he can actually deal some pretty decent damage under a General Hux lead. But other than that, I would say they're pretty much the same character. Sometimes you can probably even get them confused. So yeah, those 7 and 8 are pretty interchangeable. So moving on to the next one on the list, number 6 is going to be First Order Stormtrooper. Now this is a very, very cool tank. I'd say once we get to this area, you can definitely say alright, no matter what you say or how you break this down, these guys are pretty legit from this point on. First Order Stormtrooper is very legit. He's got a awesome taunt on him, and underneath the Supreme Leader Kylo Ren, he's basically got a perma-taunt and a pre-taunt. It's really, really cool, and you can stack protection on him. Right now I have him modded for 0 speed, all protection, and he just takes a bunch of hits for General Anakin Skywalker. So for those of you guys that are struggling against your General Anakin Skywalker, especially those pre-ultimate, I have a few videos on that and kind of how I was going about it, and a pretty decent win rate. I would say about 80 to 85%. But yes, with his advantage, and he gets to call in other people, which is again plays off the Hux lead. All those basics are going to deal a lot more damage. You can definitely see where First Order Stormtrooper has a place in these teams. All right, so now the top 5 also, if you're just looking for the best First Order team that you can create, the top 5 is going to be that best team. But obviously down below, you'll see that's how I'm breaking them into 2 teams. So at number 5, we have OG Kylo Ren. Now this guy is pretty legit. He's got a stun, he's got a healing immunity. He's got the stun obviously on his basic. He's got the healing immunity on his, the stun on his second special. His middle special is low. I'd say is probably the most underrated one. It's going to give 25% turn meter no matter what. If they have advantage, though, they're going to gain 50% turn meter because everyone's going to be first order and also have advantage. So, again, a huge turn meter boost there. Pretty decent damage output that he can put up, especially at Relic 7. But even before then, if you're facing, light gear 12 versus gear 12, you're going to see he does pretty good AoE damage. And so, very, very cool kit. If you add the Zeta onto him, he becomes that much more viable. I mean, there are videos, and I've done it myself, where he completely solos an entire 5-man Old Republic team. So, very, very cool kit. Overall, still in the top 5, even though he's kind of like an OG to this whole thing. All right, number 4, this guy. If you guys have catch me out on live streams, man, this guy is like my freaking nemesis, man. This guy, I've seen well-modded Fox just completely terminate dudes right off the bat, and it just triggers me like no other. Like, I just go into full rage mode. This guy can absolutely just completely eliminate a character. And then the worst part is because if he uses a special and he does that, he's going to get another turn. So this guy can just sit there like all day, and that's why we gave him the the nickname Death Panda. He has earned that in the Star Wars Galaxy universe. It is crazy, especially if you mod him correctly, how good this character is. So definitely don't feel bad adding gear or relics to this character. Okay, so these next 3 are pretty interchangeable. I just think that General Hux right here, he got the number 3 spot for me because he's a great leader, for this team. And even if you don't have him as a leader, great support. He really actually greatly contributes to this team, to First Order faction in large. And so really, the reason why I say it's so important to have relics on him is because for a while, especially if you saw this on defense, all you would really need to do is just Han shoots first, and usually that would kill him off because he's very squishy. Whereas once you start adding some relics to him, he starts to get a little bit more tankier. Now, I'm not saying that he's going to be able to take, a full Relic 7 Han, with a Relic 7 Chewbacca assisting, but that is to say that, he is also going to, be able to take a lot more damage. And so that's why his relics are so important, to me at least. It's not really like his mastery as much as really just, one, he gets a little bit of extra speed once he gets to gear 13, and then the relics just give him that little bit extra survivability. So the next one is Sith Trooper. Now this guy, if you're talking about constant damage output, so I'd say the big hits come from First Order Executioner, but if you're talking about just constant damage output, Sith Trooper's got to be the number 1 guy on this First Order faction. He assists whenever there's a crit. If you kill any Sith and or a First Order character, he's going to get basically his 100% turn meter, and he's going to ramp up his damage for however many of them that you've been taking out. So you kind of got to deal with him first. But again, it's just like one of those things where if I had abundance of relics, no doubt in my mind would I take this guy to Relic 7. Right now he's still at Relic 5, but he still does a tremendous job there. So definitely don't feel bad about putting gear or relics on this guy. And then finally, I picked Kylo Ren Unmasked, and that is because this guy, there was kind of a change, and I've talked about this. I have a how to mod him guide as a YouTube video as well, so go check that out. But things kind of changed, and I would say, as a general rule of thumb, before even 6E mods came out, like as a general rule of thumb, protection kind of was the way to go, especially for tanks and stuff. 23, because if you look at it, especially before the 6E, if you're looking at, your 5 mods, you got 23.5% protection, and then you got, your, I think it was 5.88% health. So you would have to have a really big health pool to kind of equalize out that protection that you would have gained if you just threw some protection mods on them. But post, the 6E mods, and then now with relics and and Gear 13 and whatnot, we've seen a lot of characters start to build that health pool up. And then now we've seen a lot of kits like Grievous and Padme Amidala, and there's a few others out there that just they need max health, and max health is now becoming way more important. And so now you're seeing a lot more with the 16% health, and because again, relics are adding so much into a health pool. Kylo Ren Unmasked is one of those characters because he takes 8% reduced damage based off of his max health. So however big his health pool is, he's going to take 8% of that damage and just kind of soak that in. So you want to make his health pool super big, so that way you can, that 8% goes a little bit further. So especially if a tank, well, he's basically re-healing himself for 8% of his max health. So essentially, if he's pre-taunting and a tank can't get around it, right? A tank shoots at him, only hits him for, pretty small amount of damage. You're actually contributing towards re-healing him. On top of the fact that his leadership, if you tried to add a detrimental effect or a debuff, just one debuff, that means you're gonna have to get it through an additional 5% health and 5% protection. So if you've ever been in a match where you just feel like you just keep almost re-healing Kylo Ren, you're like, what the heck is going on? It's because you're adding so many debuffs to him, and you're not adding enough damage into his ginormous health pool. So just a little quick thing there, like that's why I chose him as number 1, and he's a great leader. He's got a 2-turn stun, and not really the damage deal that he used to be, but he adds tenacity down so the other guys can add debuffs to him, like Kylo Ren, OG Kylo Ren. And so down below you'll see the suggested team comps. So the first one right there, the Kylo Ren Unmasked leadership, that's going to be for defense. Again, the reason why I chose to put those 2 big damage dealers, you might be saying like, well, what the heck, is because in that scenario, they're going to have to choose. To me, that makes it hard because I've got the pre-taunt with Kylo Ren Unmasked, and then they've got you've got to make a choice, essentially. Like, are you going to allow Death Panda to ramp up his damage, or are you just going to allow Sith Trooper to continuously hit, and then if you take out any other First Order before that, now all of a sudden he's going to be hitting with his AoE at a pretty big percent increase for damage. So it's just sort of like a little bit of a mind game, right? Like, I'm thinking to myself, like, okay, well, a lot of damage on a defensive team. There's a lot of recovery in here. There's a lot of good stuff in there. So a lot of turn meter gain as well. So that's always helpful. So I'd suggest that on defense. And now for this second team, General Hux, right? I would suggest using him on offense. I think that's probably the best place for him. The reason why we could kind of sacrifice some of those bigger damage dealers is because General Hux, with that 50% basic increase on damage, that's going to definitely help ramp up your guys like First Order SF TIE Pilot, First Order TIE Pilot, even guys like First Order Stormtrooper and First Order Officer. You guys are going to realize, like, man, they're actually kind of hitting for a decent amount, especially when you go into the fact that there's basically always going to be a counter chance as long as you got the dominance going, and there's call to assist, and there's a mass call to assist with Hux and First Order Stormtrooper when he's got a chance to call other people to assist. So there's a lot of stuff going on here. Teams that I would take out with this, especially light gear level, CLS. So if you're like in territory wars and you see a CLS wall, generally your First Order General Hux lead is going to be pretty good for that. It stops all that counter attacking that they got going on there. Usually, like I said, you just first move with General Hux is you just call to assist, you just blow up Chewbacca, and you're usually pretty good there. Another good one that I've noticed that I've had some pretty good success with as well is any Nuke Gunray team. Just because, there's Dooku, who always seems to counter assist. and all this other stuff. So I find that, you know, they have enough damage to just really get out there and be able to kind of take out some of those Separatists before they can get the good old extortion going. And then there's a variety of other teams too. Obviously, it's not going to take out like a Jedi Knight Revan or something like that, but there are some good teams there in the back. If you do a swap, you could put Sith Trooper in, you know, exchange maybe First Order officer out, and then you could start to take out some Geonosians with that, usually, especially, again, getting more into the relics. That's usually where he shines most, but because the Geonosians are gonna probably take out a few of your First Orders, but as soon as they do that, you know, you're getting that big AoE, which we all know the bugs, they hate AoE. So again, hopefully you guys, you know, hopefully this helps you guys kind of order your farms up and allocate the gear properly. That top team, the top 5 team right there, Kylo Ren Unmasked, Sith Trooper, General Hux, Fox, and Kylo Ren, that can be used on offense or defense. I'd say if you want to run it on offense, I would say General Hux lead, or if you want to run it on defense, I would say maybe Kylo Ren Unmasked lead. However, you know, if you're trying to maybe run it for Grand Arena on offense, you know, Kylo Ren is pretty nice because he gives you that recovery, so you can kind of sit there and maybe get more banners by that recovery. Whereas General Hux is definitely more of like, hey, I'm just going to go in there and just try to blow these guys up really quick. So again, hopefully this list helped you guys out. Appreciate you guys watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video.